Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement.
Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly
Los
on
Angeles
air.
chapter, National Action Network. He just came here to New York a couple days ago, had to stop by the House of Justice, and I sure enough found some justice. So I know I can leave here feeling like I got peace.
Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on. Friday, January 9th. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. Good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York, and we are in our 20th anniversary year of this show. 20 years ago, January 30th of this year, January 30th of 2006 is when I did the first broadcast of this show. And we've been on 20 years now. And on Fridays, it's always Exhale Friday. Whatever's on your mind, whatever's in your heart. I see Mayor Rodney Jones of Queensbridge Houses in New York writing on our message board, it's Exhale Friday. You know it's right, Mr. Mayor. You've been with us large part of these 20 years. What I mean by Exhale Friday, it means whatever is on your mind, whatever's in your heart. There's no stated issue that you must address. It's what you want to exhale and let out, and let the nation and other parts of the world that listen to this show hear what you have to say. A lot to talk about. I'm watching very closely what's going on in Minnesota with the killing of this young lady by the ICE, the Department of Homeland Security says the driver tried to run agents over, or the ICE agents over. They've said the FBI now will handle the investigation and not share evidence with the state. Now, what is interesting to me about that is that 5 years ago, 6 now, when George Floyd happened, and we went into Minneapolis and had marches and rallies and did the funeral. I did the eulogy at the funeral. They formed a department that would just deal objectively, not involved with law enforcement, with investigations that involved law enforcement. So why would you not want a cooperation between feds and that department, particularly since the heads of the federal government has already prejudged the case? President of the United States, Donald Trump, has said that the woman was trying to run the ICE officer over. That was repeated by the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. One problem. People had videotaped, citizens had taped it, and there's no way, shape, or form you can make that look like she was trying to run the man over, and the ICE agent that shot her twice in the head was not even in front of the car. So, I don't know, maybe y'all can help me with this. Are they trying to keep it only with the feds so they can protect the ICE agent and protect the statements made by President Trump and Secretary Noem? And if they had the involvement of the state, that the state may contradict whatever they're saying? Let's talk about it. I've been talking to one of George Floyd's brothers, and we're discussing how we need to talk about that jointly and get with this family. Law enforcement's a problem there, and maybe some unified front may be in the works. We're seeing about that. We also see that one of the top stories of this week is that 2025, I want to make sure I read this correctly, 2025 was the worst year, W-O-R-S-T, worst year for hiring since 2020. December's job report shows U.S. added only this December job report that U.S. only added 50,000 jobs, closing out 2025 as the weakest for hiring since 2009, including 2020. With only 584 jobs created all year, hiring averaged 48,000 jobs per month. Revisions cut October and November's totals further. And this left, because we're just in the 9th day of January, this left us at the end of November and December jobs report. Blacks are at 7.9% unemployment, whites at 3.8%. Blacks 7.5, whites 3.8, which means that whites are doubly employed or blacks are doubly unemployed, whichever way you want to talk about it, to whites in this country. And they don't want DEI. The only way you're going to deal with this imbalance and unemployment and business and other areas is you're going to have something like DEI. You have to have a concerted effort to balance out historic discrimination and carried over results of that discrimination. So let's talk about that state of economy for blacks. Much, much more. Well, it's double if you look at the employment statistics. And of course, the whole issue of the border patrols and the ICE people, as I said, in Minneapolis. Then you also have 2 that were shot in by Border Patrol in Portland, Oregon on yesterday. We don't know their conditions. People out of control. And one of the things that is interesting to me, just flew below a radar with a lot, is Elon Musk has amplified this white supremacist messaging on his X website. He has endorsed a post on X that says, quote, "If white men become a minority, we will be slaughtered." And this was written on X by a user named Jer, Jerr. And it says, quote, "Remember, if non-whites openly hate white men, and while white men hold the collective majority, then they will be 1,000% times more hostile and cruel when the majority is over whites. White solidarity is the only way to survive." Now, Musk didn't author the piece, but he amplified it days after dining with Donald Trump, and that's an explicit endorsement. I follow that up by saying there's a lot of talk, but well, you know, we appreciate what guys like Sharpton are doing, but now you have also social media activists, so it's a more fragmented landscape. Well, the problem with that is we don't only need to sell social media. So if you put all of your movement stuff on social media, and Elon Musk owns X, and Zuckerberg owns Facebook, then if they decide one morning to cut you off, they can stop the movement. Because your movement is through their vehicle. We don't own X. We don't own Facebook. We don't own Instagram. So how is that a good strategy? Should we use it? Yes, as long as we can. But don't be dependent on it. I use it. But I use it to promote what we're doing until they cut it off. And you must build a base, an infrastructure that they can't cut off. That's why we built National Action Network all over the country. Don't let them trick you. Oh, you don't want to go the old way, organizing organizations and overhead and all that. Just put all your lot with us. Just give it all to me. So if you ever get out of line, all I got to do is hit a button and nobody ever knows what you got to say. That's why we're in the 35th anniversary of National Action Network, 20th anniversary of this show. I come every day in every way because I'm not going to let them cut us off if they'd never cut me on. Let's take a break. We'll be right back going to the phones. It is Exhale Friday, 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back.
Breaking news.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Hey, it's Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor in the building. Here at the National Action Network, it's about thanks. It's about giving. It's about gratitude. It's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude, it starts with giving, it starts with peace, it starts with love. Let's go.
Before we feed our family, we got to make sure that we feed the community. That's right. That's what it's all about. We got to come with Sharpton phones. You come and you make sure you show up, serve the community. That's what it's all about.
It's time for a new course, a new coalition, a new leadership. Somebody got to rise above race, rise above sex. A new leadership, a choice, a chance. Don't cry by what you don't have. Use what you got. Everybody in town was scared of Goliath. We got more and more folk and fewer services. We cannot stop. We got to rise on higher. Little David. Little David. Little David. Took off his unnecessary garments. Little David. Didn't want to get weighted down with a lot of foolishness. Little David. Took what God gave him, a slingshot and a God biscuit, a rock.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin. You know, every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, to call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton.
It's been a long time coming, but I know
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
When they came to a dream. Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special, special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're gonna have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm gonna keep marching, I'm gonna keep agitating, and I'm gonna keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time, Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again. Do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. This Exhale Friday. Whatever's on your mind, whatever is in your heart, you can call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or go to the message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Brendy's Loggins says on the message board, love him so much for him who he is to us. Thank you, Reverend Al. Well, I love him too. I love the Lord. And I believe that's what you're referring to. Saint 6744 says, Reverend Al Sharpton, we appreciate you and all you do for justice, no peace, and keeping it real with us. God bless you. Well, God bless you back, Saint. Thank you for your call. And more faith is saying on the message board, congratulations on your 20 years of service, Reverend Al Sharpton, by shedding light on occurrences taking place surrounding our lives, keeping it real. And thank you for that. Let me say by announcements, since she says what we do, don't forget, watch Politics Nation this weekend. I'll be on tomorrow, Saturday, and on Sunday, 5 p.m., 2 different shows live both nights. Among my guests this weekend, I'm going to talk about what is going on in Minnesota with the State Attorney General, Keith Ellison. And we worked closely with Keith Ellison on the George Floyd case, which he won. Those 3 policemen are in jail there in Minnesota. I'm going to have him on. I'm going to have the talk about Venezuela, what it means now to us since there's no regime change, since Trump is supposed to meet with the Nobel Prize winner next week. What does that mean? So I'm going to meet with the ranking member of Foreign Affairs, Congressman Greg Meeks. I'm going to have him on, and Jim Clyburn, who's on that committee, Congressman Jim Clyburn. I want to know what this really means, what it's going to cost Americans, how we deal with Venezuela. So 2 hot topics that I'm going to be dealing with, Venezuela, as well as what it means to our economy. And I'm going to deal with the rights and lack of rights in Minnesota. Then I'm going to have on also this weekend Yvette Clark, chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, about the voting. We may know today where Section 2 goes with the Supreme Court. I'm going to have on Attorney Ben Crump on this weekend. All of that this weekend, from the State Attorney General in Minneapolis to the leading members of the Congressional Foreign Affairs Committee to the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, to Ben Crump. It's going to be a action-packed 2 nights of keeping it real. Of Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. Live both nights, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now, formerly known as MSNBC. Then in the morning, for you that are in the New York, Connecticut, New Jersey vicinity, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice in Harlem at 145th and Lenox. We got something special tomorrow. I'll be there giving a keynote, but we have the national president of the Alpha fraternity going to be there, where they're going to make their pledge and stand, many of their members coming, that they are going to partner with National Action Network on this HBCU tour, where we're touring around some HBCUs, doing workshops with young people, trying to get them involved in the movement. And the goal is to bring 300 of them to our National Action Network convention. It's called the Ascend HBCU Tour. And the president of the Alphas International, some of the members will be there. Our director for this tour, Reverend Cassius Rudolph, we're going to announce it, sign the Memorandum of Understanding, then I'm going to give the message for the day. That's in the morning at the House of Justice, 9 a.m. to 11. You're going to be historic when you check that out. And then, of course, I'm asking you to sign up in advance for King Day, MLK birthday. That's not a day off, it's a day on. We do 2 cities that day. We start on, this is Monday the 19th, a week from Monday, but I'm telling you so you can sign up. We start with the breakfast that National Action Network has done annually in Washington, D.C., 8 o'clock on Monday morning, January 19th, Martin Luther King III, and I host the breakfast. This year we're honoring former Attorney General Eric Holder, who was Attorney General under Barack Obama. We're honoring Sheila Johnson, who owns more hotels than any black woman in the country, who co-founded BET with her husband, Bob Johnson. And we're having it at her hotel, Salamander Hotel in Washington. We're honoring Donna Brazile, the political strategist, and we're honoring the mayor of Baltimore, Brandon Scott. Then we go from there, and we give those MLK awards to those that we felt have made some significant contribution in the spirit of Dr. King, and Martin III and Andrea Waters King co-chairs that with me. Then I fly to New York, and at 1 o'clock, we will have the Martin Luther King National Action Network's annual Martin Luther King Policy Forum, where we have the local officials, the state officials for New York and New Jersey report on what they are doing in the spirit, in the legislative vision of Dr. King. That's 1 o'clock at the House of Justice on the 19th, and that's at 145th and Lenox. The governor of New York has confirmed, the mayor's coming, Mandani and the State Attorney General Tish James all will be there giving their reports, because we always run out of space both in Washington that morning and in New York. I'm asking people to sign up early so you can make your arrangements to be there. Don't wait and call me Thursday next Thursday and notice happening Saturday and happening Sunday. Sign up now. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and sign up, or call in at 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651. All right. I know that there's already been a few hundred that have called and signed up. I'm going to let them run the list until I close the list, and then that's that. Also, get ready now for the National Action Network Convention. This convention this year, we're going to have the best and the brightest. We always do. I already got some names coming in that you're going to want to go. Our convention is free. There's no registration fee, and it's celebrating our 35th year of National Action Network, and the theme is straightening out tricks in 26. Straightening out the tricks. They're messing with our voting rights. They're messing with our rights of DEI. Straightening out tricks in 26. We're going to have the top political leaders, academicians, ministers, our civil rights leaders, women leaders, and media personalities. Have workshops for everybody. And that's going to be on April the 8th through the 11th. April 8th through the 11th in New York. You can sign up now by going online to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or call the toll-free number 1-877-532-5. I'm sorry, 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651, and sign up now for the convention. Say, I'm coming all 4 days, 8th through the 11th, or I'm coming 1 day, I'm coming 2 days, can't stay the whole time, or I'm coming half a day. But make sure I'm on the list so I can get in the room, access any of the workshops, because I'm an early signer. 1-877-626-4651, or go online. So got a lot of stuff coming. 20th anniversary of this show, 35th anniversary of NAN. Work to do. I've read somebody, I was trying to get back to it, said they've been marching 40 years. We haven't gone nowhere. Well, you maybe haven't gone nowhere. We've gone a lot of where. And 40 years ago, we did not think we'd ever have a black president. We never thought we'd have affordable care for everybody. We never thought we would have cameras on police from policing. We never thought we'd have laws against racial profiling. We got a lot done, and then they pushed back. So I think what probably you thought is that we was going to move forward and they were just going to roll over. We knew that movements about one or two steps forward, they're going to push one back. You keep going. Movement is not one all, do all. It's you got to move forward and maintain. So maybe you had the wrong idea marching. You thought this was going to Vegas and gambling and you win it all and walk away. No, you got to continue to struggle. That's why some of us are still here, still marching, still rallying. Because, yeah, they double back with Trump and we double back and beat that again. We beat Trump in 20. He'll be gone in 28. We can win the Congress now. Quit looking for a one-shot deal. We're going to have to keep struggling. But guess what? Our great-grandparents struggled. Our grandparents struggled. Our parents struggled. So stop being a wimp and let's stand up and get some backbone and take these people on. Keeping it real. That's what I do. Sharpton, that's my name. We'll be right back. Hi, it's Reverend Al Sharpton, President and founder of National Action Network. We are at the very end of 2025, and I want to first say that I want to thank all of the officers, chapter leaders, regional directors, national staff, and certainly National Board of National Action Network for a solid and absolutely incredible year in 2025. Despite the fact that we are under assault, voting rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion, the battles globally where we're seeing Nigeria and Venezuela attacked, and on and on and on. We have been steadfast as an activist organization in the tradition of Dr. King. We started the year with a national call that thousands responded to, and we were in Washington on our side of town while Trump was being inaugurated on the other side of town. And we made a pledge. We told people to lift their hand and make the pledge. And we kept that pledge to work all year to keep the dream alive. And that led into when Trump went after DEI, we supported some that were boycotting, and we started boycotting, something that had never happened. We said we're going to go buy from those that have committed to keep DEI, and went in several cities around Costco's and Sharpton. We've now bought stock in other companies. We're going to shareholder meeting and demand they continue DEI. We've had a sensational National Action Network convention covering the span of activity, from political empowerment to education, to how we deal with the black church, how we deal with black women development that has to deal with both discrimination based on gender and race. And of course, we came to Wall Street by the thousands and marched in late summer on the anniversary of the March on Washington. And people thought you could not get people out, and they came from all over the country. And we marched on Wall Street and had an enormous turnout. The only mass black march, black-led march this year. We had a lot of protests, a lot of marches. I salute all No Kings marches and all. But the black organization march, it welcomed everybody. We had white, black, everybody there. Was our march on Wall Street in August. And then our Triumph Award and on into our fall agenda of organizing, mobilizing. We've expanded. We've started chapters in about 12 new cities. So I am proud of what we've done this year, but it's only the beginning, because our very rights are under attack, and they're not even being quiet about it. They want to revoke the Voting Rights Act. Section 2 may fall with this bill. They want to end the Civil Rights Act of '64. That's what the end of DEI is about. So Let us be more alert and active than ever. History will decide whether the civil rights gains of the 50s and 60s died in the 2020s. That's on your watch and mine. So if we've got to march, we have to protest, we have to lobby, and we have to rally, whatever we need to do, we need to put our shoulder to the wheel more than ever. I'm going to lay out a plan on King Day, both in Harlem at our annual event and in Washington at our annual Martin Luther King Day breakfast that we do in D.C. We do cities that day. And then, of course, all roads lead to New York, the paper for our convention. We had, as I said, the largest attendance convention last year in 2025. It needs to be more this year because our very existence is at stake. We also are closing our negotiations on a new headquarters, our national headquarters that befit our mission. I'm so excited about it, but I can't give you details. We're just about ready to sign the contract, but it will be something that will last longer than many of our lifetimes. So we came alive in 25, despite a hostile administration, despite the fact that a lot of people were intimidated and spooked into silence. We came alive in 25. Now we have to straighten out tricks in 26. I need you. We need each other. Let's do this. All these tricks, don't forget, Trump only won by 1.5%. He is trying to act like he has a mandate. No, he has a mission, Project 2025. We have the mandate that we can't let them undo what has been done. And we must even go further for the empowerment of all people. Happy New Year. And be focused. Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight. They did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising, but one black man, Rich Newton, has said, I don't care. My families come together every 4th of July weekend, and Essence will happen, because that's who we are. Give a big hand to Rich New Dennis for bringing us back. Why do we come? Because the essence of who we are is essential to what made this nation. We built this nation. We made this nation. We created the essential dollars that this nation lives off of. We don't care what Keep it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. It's XL Friday. Let's go right to the phone. Let me end the week in a blessing, because we begin it with a blessing from my dear friend. Just her voice is a blessing to me, I know, and many of you. Miss Eunice, the beloved Miss Eunice in Chicago, Illinois. Miss Eunice, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Good afternoon, Reverend. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Rev, sometime I talk, I suffer with allergy and my voice go in and out, so I apologize.
No problem.
And, okay, I would just like to say condolences to the family of Miss Good. She didn't deserve that.
No.
And, and moving right along, it is said that Trump doesn't smoke or drink alcohol, but he's drunk with power, and he has overdosed. And this man is a lost soul and has needed help all his life, but he didn't get it. And I think it was a lack of parenting. And where's the Supreme Court? They haven't given Trump the okay to do what he wants. What's going on is he is out of control. And as far as I'm concerned, Mary Trump needs Peace Prize because she sounded the alarm about how dangerous her uncle was. And I say this, if you lie, you will steal, you steal, you will kill. And Trump has done all three. So what is it going to take to stop Trump and his gang of thugs? Can you imagine if it was any other president, they would be on it?
Yeah.
And I'm happy to see a little movement in the Congress. Maybe they can get something done. So that's a little start right there. So I shed tears when I look at the things that these women are doing, taking sides with Trump over this Epstein file. Do you have any shame? Can you realize those are young women that they violated? And thank you, Ray.
Underage young women. That's right. That's
yes,
right.
And it's just a shame. And these men also, because they have young daughters and all that kind of stuff. So I just can't figure this out to save my life. Is some things worth fighting for? And like you said about this information, don't give all your information. And we may need to go back and communicate with each other, because the satellites can go down. At my home, the satellites went down, phone went out, in fact, the neighborhood. So we have to find a way to communicate. And thank you for taking my call.
Thank you for calling. Let me go to the message board. Shellbuck is put on the message board. I've been watching and listening to your projects for almost at least 17, 18 years. Tony King. All right. Thank you for that. And I'm happy that you've been with me that long. Stay with me. Henry Lancelos, I hope I'm saying it right, says, Reverend, I thank you for all that you've done over the years. Well, thank you and bless you for that. I need all the encouragement I get. I take enough brickbats from your president and others. Let's go to Don in New Orleans, Louisiana. Don.
Yes, Reverend Al, greetings. And just send a condolence. I heard you mention Brother Scott from Baltimore, Sister Muriel Bowser, Washington, D.C. mayor, and the mayor of New Orleans. This is the last weekend. The new mayor will be sworn in on January 12th,
right,
Monday. She's a two-term serving first woman mayor of New Orleans, probably one of the first. Well, she's definitely one of the first mayors in the country, and especially in the southern states. And so she rose from community organizer after Katrina, became a city councilwoman, and then was elected mayor. Out of 18 candidates, Reverend Al, she won out of 18
Wasn't that
candidates.
many? It was 18 candidates. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the first time she ran, the first term, she ran against she was one of 18 candidates running for mayor after Mitch Landrieu. Is also his second term. And then she was reelected. And so her term, her mayorship is coming to a close, and we wish her nothing but the very best in her next chapter of public service. But Reverend Al, quickly, you're mentioning the anniversary. August of this year, 2026, will be the 50th commemoration of the release of Roots, the Saga of an American Family, the book.
All right. I did not know that.
And, excuse me?
I said I did not know that. That's 50 years.
Yes, August of 76. They're celebrating July 4th is the birthday of America, 250. And Roots came out, was released in August of 1976 by the author Alice Haley, who also did the autobiography of Malcolm X,
right?
Who served in the Coast Guard as well, Alice Haley. But no, the reason I mentioned that is we were talking about the issue of when you look at the peculiar institution of the captive of Africans in slavery, the slavery it was called, chattel slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Black people made the greatest academic achievement known in this country. Probably it's definitely in the top three. When you went from forced lawful illiteracy, it was against the law to teach blacks to read and write English. Now we're talking English, and they went from 0% literacy to completely wiping out illiteracy in less than a generation. And so that was a great achievement. And the reason I'm saying that, it says that the most adults in this country, adults from 16 to 74, read on a 6th grade level or lower. Now, if you categorize below a 5th grade, you're considered functionally illiterate if you read below the 5th grade level. And so most newspapers, you have to write, the average is 7th to 8th grade reading level. 7th to 8th grade reading level is the average American reading level. Now, if it says, these studies says that if you write at the 9th grade level or above, you will lose 88% of your articles and statements and all this English contracts will lose 88%. 88% of the population wouldn't be able to read it and understand it. If you write above the 9th grade, if you write at 9th grade level or above, if you write at the 10th,
go ahead.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
If you write at the 12th grade level, you would disenfranchise 98% of the population because of the readability of your article. So, what I'm saying is, when we talk about Mary Cantrell, she led New Orleans through through the pandemic as well. The pandemic in 2020 has set back all the accomplishments of reading levels especially for our 3rd graders and 4th graders, significantly to where they are now falling behind academically. And it is so profound. Do you know that 3 out of every 4 incarcerated person is either functionally illiterate or unable to read at grade level?
Yes.
Or haven't graduated high school?
Yes.
And so reading has a profound effect socioeconomically as well.
I think the significance of this is also when you compare it to other nations where the data is different, because they instill reading at younger ages and more developed minds. I think that certainly it was intentional to not educate blacks, because the more we knew, the more we would know we didn't belong in where they had put us in society. But they even dumbed down whites in this country.
Absolutely. The largest low literacy groups, the 2 largest low literacy group, one is a racial group, that's white people. And the largest ethnic low literacy group is Hispanics.
Yep.
And so we have a serious issue when we talk about reading, and that's why LeVar Burton, Read the Rainbow, and the issues of reading at a very early age. Reading to the child while it is in the mother's womb. And one other thing about mothers, if a mother reads to their child or their children, it does not matter their socioeconomic or the neighborhood they grow in. They will break the cycle of poverty. Just simply not simply by reading to you, but reading to your children and expanding their horizons through reading.
All right, let me take my break. Thank you. You gave a lot of information. Thank you for your call. Let's take our break. Coming back with more of You Exhale Friday, 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back.
Who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, "The 2 most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born." I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me, and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you're very young. You don't know the road I've traveled.
They called me everything but a child of God.
Racial discord, a blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing. And I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are, and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that called me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old. With the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
Rev, you know, you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had, in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene with yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question. What was your weight on that?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the head on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut, so we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK.
Reverend Sharpton, how do we begin to make peace with our past?
I don't think it's our obligation to make peace with our past. I think it's our obligation to learn from our past and to understand that soon we gonna be the past. I mean, a lot of us act like we gonna be permanent and that the past is the past. If we draw on the strengths of the past and uphold the dignity and the integrity of our people, and then perform it at our highest level in our generation, as Dr. Moss said, that's our obligation. You know, one of the reasons that I've been so concerned about this cultural tone that we're in now is a lot of us have lost the dignity that our community has shown from Jamestown to now. I've questioned some of the artists that no longer sing to uplift us. And there's never been a generation that didn't use our music and our culture to lift us up. And the excuse is where they say, well, we just want to show what's there. But we never just accepted what was there. We always looked at what was there and looked through it and brought our people the way it needed to be. So in slavery time, we were singing Go Down Moses and Swing Low Sweet Chariot. We wasn't singing about the cotton picking nigga in the field. That's what we saw, but that's not what we sang. In slavery, in segregation time, we were singing We Shall Overcome. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. We wasn't singing the hoe in the back of the bus. So where is this coming from? And that's what we need to challenge. I wish, all of this about our friend Barack announcing today, I wish Obama had announced here, because Lincoln did not free us. The abolitionist movement freed us. Lincoln accommodated to freedom fighters. He was not a freedom fighter. Kennedy accommodated the king. Johnson accommodated the king. We got to quit giving the wrong people credit for our history.
Dr. Richardson, most of all, let me thank Reverend Al Sharpton for bringing us all here together today. In the Urban Action Network, I am proud to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America. But I am mindful that I wouldn't be here if it had not been for Reverend Al Sharpton running for president, and Carol Moseley Brown running for president, and Jesse Jackson running for president, and Shirley Chisholm running for president. They paved the way. And I stand
Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. We're back. Let's go right back to the phones this STL Friday. Let me go to Todd. Todd from Cleveland, Ohio. Todd usually calls on Thursday on Policy Day. He's calling again. I think he did call yesterday. He's calling again on today. Todd?
Hey, Reverend Al Sharpton. Yes, I did call yesterday. However, the week before, you mentioned that, and by the way, before I go, I know the answer to Eunice's question that was posed about Donald Trump, but I want to address this. Last week, you said that Tuesday of this week, you have a little bit better information about an update as to where everybody is with the trial or the criminal justice procedure for the murder. I don't want to pronounce her name incorrectly. Your National Action Network member that was murdered in April of last year. Is it Xenia Matee?
Oh, yeah.
Is
We
that her
did
name?
not, the lawyers did not give us the information that can go public. So bear with me another few days. We're on it, and you are correct. I did think we could come with the information last Tuesday, but we were not authorized by the lawyers.
But it's moving along.
Yes, sir.
The process is moving along. So it's been 20 years of your radio broadcast, 35 years of National Action Network, and it's been about 59 years since you began in the ministry. Is that right? You were a boy preacher at 12?
No,
So it's
I was
going
boy
on-
preacher. First sermon, I was 4. I was,
Okay.
by the time I was 10, I was licensed and ordained in the Church of God in Christ, but I was, my first sermon was in 1959. I was 4 years old. July the 9th. I remember the day.
With all those things spoken and taken into consideration, have you been able to build a level of emotional strength each year that makes it less difficult, not easy, but less difficult for you to deal with things like what happened to Miss Matee? How do you pronounce her name? Is it Matee or Matee?
Matea. I think that I've been able to build an emotional state of being able to not be rattled and not be knocked off course. But I've not built it where it doesn't matter, because it still matters. I don't think it's very interesting, and I might salute you on asking a question that is important. It's very important. I tell a lot of the staff members around National Action Network, most of whom are very much younger than me, that you can never lose your feelings, but you can't let your emotions dictate your behavior to something. And that almost sounds contradictory. But
No, it doesn't.
Well, it does to some, and I'm glad it doesn't to you. And I tell you what happened when one of the police killings and racial killings, I had done the funeral, and it was in Buffalo. It wasn't a police killing. It was a white supremacist killing about 3 years ago at the Top supermarket. And I did the last funeral and march of the oldest woman there. In fact, Vice President Harris attended the funeral. And when the casket passed, I just, again, teardrop. One of my staffers said, these things after all these years still get to you. I said, if they stop getting to you, you should not be here. If you can't feel for the people in the family, you shouldn't be here. But it doesn't mean I'm going to go out and burn the city down. But it matters to me. That's why I personally deal with a lot of the families and all, because it matters to me. And once it stops mattering to you, and I've seen it happen to other leaders, Todd. I've seen it happen to other activists. They act like families and people that are killed are props. These people are not props in a movie about you. These are real people. And when I look at that lady that was in that casket, that could have been my mother. When I look at kids, it could have been my kids. And I fight with that passion, but I also fight within the boundaries of I should not let my emotions dictate the strategy what's going to get us something done.
I absorbed that murder as it was described to me on the radio by you and started reading the facts on it. And I knew somebody who knew one of the reporters, and they were conveying to me a little bit more about it that didn't make the news. And as I took in consideration what I knew from your conveying of the matter, I absorbed that, she was running a business, which is what the government in New York City actually wants you to do.
Right.
Run an honorable business and pay taxes. She was involved in a well-established, proven civic, healthy, civically engaged entity, which is the National Action Network.
Right.
And she was a good neighbor in the neighborhood, separate from her just being a business owner. And it takes 61 years to make a 61-year-old person, and you can't make the same one twice.
Right.
So as I absorbed it, I was like, I definitely want to know how that moves along, because you can't get that member back, and you can't replace her. You could get some more, but you can't replace her, and that's the reason why it stuck with me.
No, and I appreciate that. And I can't get her back, nor can we get the time in which she did what she did and why it was so important. All we can do is give the historic reference a life as long as we can and seek justice. So I'm definitely going to keep your audience abreast.
That's all you can do as far as that goes. And hope you do enough, put enough energy on it so that you can prevent anybody else from wanting to do it again, hopefully.
Right. That's
so in exit, to answer to Eunice's question, her question was, what can be done about Donald Trump? Continuous, intense, large number membership, civic engagement on the facts of the laws, the facts of the policies that exist in this country, and the historical value of why they were put in place for whatever the reason may be. You have to keep pushing in large groups, and they have to keep rotating on this type of behavior in order to make sure that not only his power is weakened for the things that he does wrong, because he does do some things right, but for the things that he does wrong, but also working to make sure that nobody else gets in place and does the same wrong things again. But it has to be continuous civic engagement by large group, intensely moving forward on the facts. That's the answer to her question. I'll get out the way so somebody else could come.
All right. Thank you for your call, and thank you for bringing that back up. Means a lot to me. I want to go to message board. Gloria Doolin Wilson, who I know well, says on the message board, I remember when I got my FCC license in California, I was told my show content had to be aimed to an audience at a 6th grade level. We have to control our own educational system for our kids. And Gloria is following up with, I think the caller from New Orleans had brought up about the reading and understanding level of Americans. And Gloria still is very active in getting information. I get her blogs and media stuff. And she's right. They tell you to shoot down low. They tell you, don't try to elevate people. Talk down to them so that becomes normalized. And that is sick, but that is practiced to this day. Gloria is right. Let's go to Disco Brian in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Disco Brian.
Hey, Rev.
Hey.
You spoke earlier about Musk. Many of your colleagues at MS Now have vacated Musk's Nazi platform X, which, by the way, is now allowing its paid users to create AI images of naked children, and are now exclusively on Blue Sky, as well as Instagram and others. I would love to see you and Dominique and Nan join your colleagues and vacate X and join Blue Sky as well. Don't know if y'all could do that, but that would be great. Rev, before God made me aware of keeping it real...
Well, let me ask you a question. Who owns Blue Sky?
Yes, I'm sorry. I don't know. You know, Rev, I'm not saying Blue Sky is paradise, but I do know that they don't allow... I've been on there, and the woman that owns Blue Sky, I mean, I don't trust her at all, but it is a woman, number one, and they don't allow child sex abuse AI images. So that's...
All right, well, let me check it out, because I'm not aware of who owns them. I am aware of X, and let me check it out and throw it to the people on the board that handles our media contracts, because I don't know exactly where we are there. But go ahead.
Thank you. Before God made me aware of you and keeping it real here, he sent me my wife, Lindsay, and both of you have helped me choose life instead of suicide, so I want to thank God for you both publicly. But before either of you, as a kid growing up just down the road from Mar-a-Lago, you know, God sent me Spike Lee's movies. And before that, God sent me Prince via my stepbrother, and the only brother I claim, even though he's one of four step and half brothers I have. My stepbrother Ben Dewar is my only good brother, and he was the first openly anti-racist white male influence in my life. He lives in Marin County, California, and his name is deserving of being said on this sacred show, Rev. In 2013, Rev, I have a little time lapse I want to walk you through for a moment. I heard a song called Blood on the Leaves.
Wait a minute, let me take my break. I'm going to hold you over the break so you give me the little history. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Exhale Friday. Be right back. Oh, do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited to turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you, and if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9, and we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized. Hey, what's up? They're doing, thank you. They're doing What's on Your Mind? Yeah. All right, then, we got a birthday this week. I got to talk about that.
Oh, no.
Happy birthday this weekend. And Carrie White's birthday, right?
Corey's birthday is today.
Yeah, and I got to tell Reverend Bird be ready Daniel 5th chapter I want him to read. And I'm ready. Got a message from today, so we'll be on the air in what? Half hour.
About a half hour.
You should tune in to the WBLS 107.5 FM and National Impact and www.nationalnetwork.net. All right, I'm ready. Make sure you operate on time or I'll tell them I owe y'all.
Democracy, that's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
It's the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on.
We have a young man in the studio who I think is an astounding young brother because of his youth. He's only 19 years old, and he's accomplished a lot, and he's here to make a presentation to James Brown, and we'd like to welcome him warmly. His name is Al Sharpton. How about if Al Sharpton? Al is the National Director of the National Youth Movement Incorporated. Right, Al?
That's right.
And what do we have here?
Well, we come to break tradition. We know that in the recording industry that they give a gold record to those that achieve a million seller. But we view your million seller payback as a black record because it is relevant and says many of the things that young blacks have tried to say and could not musically express in our own little way. And we feel the payback is sort of like the theme song of Young Black America in 1974. Yeah.
Now, before you go into the title tune of your latest album, you have a special guest.
Yeah, I do have a special guest, a young lady.
That's going to perform with you?
Yeah.
So good. That was beautiful. Thank you, everyone. I am humbled and grateful to be here with you tonight. I love you too. I love you too. It seems like I've known Reverend Al Sharpton all my life. My mom was such a fan of his, and I've seen him through my life in LA at MCA Records. When I was there, he'd come through, you know, and get those people straight about our contracts and talk about that. And I haven't been honored a lot. Maybe this is my second time, and I'm 68 years old. And I've been in this business my entire life. I've never done what you would call a real job. But I am truly honored, and I'm thankful, and I love us. I love my black people.
You're loud, sir. Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. On the message board, I see Happiness Donuts put up a post saying ICE is not law enforcement. They are immigration enforcement with $11 billion plus budget. Thank you for that, Happiness Donut. A lot of people get confused. They're under the Department of Homeland Security, and they are trying to act as though that they are something in law enforcement They are in immigration enforcement. It's a segment that you can loosely say is enforcement with law, but they fall under a total different category. Having said that, that does not in any way, shape, or form, in my judgment, give them the right to say they are going to do the feds, for FBI, Justice Department, a federal investigation on the killing of Miss Good in Minneapolis and not allow access to the evidence and to pertinent information to state officials, particularly since the ICE agent that shot and killed her, and we see it on video, that it is questionable, if not in fact, he was under no threat. So why would you not have a joint investigation and share evidence if you take the evidence exclusively, ban the local state officials and the department that was started after George Floyd, and you come back in months later, how can the public believe your findings when you're talking about someone else that's in the federal government and that you were able to deal with or not deal with the evidence as it was? So I thank you for that distinction. Let's go back. I think I was talking to Disco Brian in Philadelphia.
Thank you, Rev. So I was getting back to that. My stepbrother introduced me to Prince in the summer of 1984 when I was 9 years old, and I heard the B-side of the Purple Rain single, the song God, and that song terrified me. Prince screamed the way your minister Tyrone Richardson screams, and that fear that I felt from that sound was a sound from the actual God, which was the one that my paternal grandmother, who was raised in hate in southern Georgia, her daddy was a Klanner. She didn't have the capacity to share with me, even though she shared with me Jesus. Her Jesus was not your Jesus. So when I heard Kanye West's song Jesus Walks, Rev, in 2004, you see, I didn't like it. I didn't feel it the way that I felt Prince's religious songs. It felt fake to me. So by 2013, when all these white people I was friends with loved them some Kanye West, when I got around to agreeing to listen to it and trying to get into it, I heard Blood on the Leaves for the first time, and I was shocked. Kanye sampled Strange Fruit, sacred song about the Holocaust of lynchings in the Jim Crow South, written by a Jewish immigrant who taught James Baldwin in high school, a man by the name of Abel Meeropol, and of course made immortal by Billie Holiday. Kanye sampled Nina Simone's version in his horrible Blood on the Leaves song, and I heard it, and my gut said, this is wrong. But, Rev, I didn't trust my gut. I told myself Kanye's artistic license and edginess and blackness and risk-taking gave him moral cover. And, Rev, for 20 years, I watched a program called Democracy Now! And that program taught me to override my own conscience. The host of that program, Amy Goodman, taught me to trust all of the experts that she invited onto that program. And I got to say, Rev, I don't remember ever seeing you in the studio of Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman. Have you ever been a guest on that program?
On which program now? On Amy's program?
Amy Goodman with Democracy Now! Has she ever invited you there? Have you ever been there?
I believe I did. It's been a while, though, but I believe I did. I know I've done some show Amy's done, and it probably was Democracy Now!
Okay. All right. I don't remember you being on there a whole lot. I remember Noam Chomsky was on there a lot, Naomi Klein, Glenn Greenwald, Matt Taibbi, a bunch of these folks. But I don't remember seeing you a lot, and it's that's kind of weird to me. I think you should have been on there more because your voice is more important than any of those who I just mentioned. Anyway, Rev, fast forward to 2015. I'm at Coachella, and during the Weeknd set, the guy The Weeknd from Canada, Kanye came out as a guest, and he performed the song All Day N-Word. And the crowd is overwhelmingly white, and I watched thousands of white kids chant the N-word back at Kanye in unison. All right? And that moment stayed with me. This is 2015. Again, my gut was telling me something was wrong, but I silenced it, right? Because Kanye's an artist. And, you know, I'm anti-racist, so I'm going to support what a black rapper does, right? Now we move to 2016. This part matters. I stayed with Kanye through his album, The Life of Pablo. I stayed because leftism, left-wing sentiments taught me that discomfort means growth and that questioning means betrayal and that doubt means that I just don't get it yet, right? So that's on me. So then comes April 2018, and Kanye tweeted, quote, "I like the way Candace Owens thinks." And that was the first unmistakable break, Rev, because this wasn't art anymore. This was ideology. Then a few months later, in August of 2018, Kanye sat down in Wyoming for a long, surreal interview with Charlemagne the God. And this is the line that changed everything for me, Rev. Kanye said to Charlemagne, he said, he liked Donald Trump's, quote, dragon energy, but he preferred Bernie Sanders' policies. I think a lot of us have forgotten that Kanye West said that. And then he explained why this made sense to him. He said, I'm an artist, you see. I like to remix things. And that sentence was the tell, Rev, because you don't remix morality. You don't remix democracy. You don't remix history without consequences. And finally, in October 2018, I watched Kanye hug Donald Trump in the Oval Office, and that was it. That's when I realized something painful, that I should have trusted my gut back in 2013 when blood on the leaves felt wrong, when leftism taught me to excuse what my conscience rejected. Thank you, Rev.
All right. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Exhale Friday. Sharpton. Be right back. Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is. You know, every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, to call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton. Our theme this year is we're going to straighten out tricks in 26. Straighten out tricks in 26. All the tricks is over. Changing the voting line. Straighten out tricks in 26. Selling us product but don't give us our diversity, equity, and engagement and inclusion. Straighten out tricks in 26. The tricks is over. It's fighting time. It's stand-up time. It's correcting time. Hey, what's up? They got, they're doing, thank you. They're doing, what's on your mind?
Yeah.
All right, then, we got a birthday this week. I got to talk about that.
Oh, no.
Happy birthday this weekend. And Carrie White's birthday, right?
Corey's birthday's today.
Yeah, and I got tell Reverend Bird be ready Daniel 5th chapter I want him to read. And I'm ready. Got a message from today, so we'll be on the air in what? Half hour.
Half hour.
You should tune in to the WBLS 107.5 FM and National Impact and www.nationalnetwork.net. All right, I'm ready. Make sure you operate on time or I'll tell them how old you are. Thank God I was blessed to have both in my life. Both historic, strong figures. But if I misused them and listened to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. And what I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are and why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant and unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be your blood relatives, but they could not be the ones that accompany you toward what you ought to be about tonight. Everybody good to you ain't good for you. Everybody that makes you laugh sometimes end up making you a joke.
In London, yeah. We've got many problems there. We need you over our side. Yeah, you're invited anytime, please. Whenever you want to come.
There we go. Dice! What's up, Doc?
You live, sir.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And let me again remind you to watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC, both Saturday and Sunday. And among my guests and issues that I will be dealing with tomorrow, Saturday, and on Sunday, I'm going to deal, obviously, with the Minnesota ICE killing of Miss Good. I'm going to have on the Attorney General of Minnesota, Keith Ellison, who we know well. He was the special prosecutor on the case of George Floyd that happened in Minneapolis and should be involved in this case. The feds are now saying they're going to do it all. I want him to give us the 411 on that. He'll be on, I believe, tomorrow, as well as we're going to deal with Venezuela. I have the ranking Democrat on the Foreign Affairs Committee in the Congress, Congressman Greg Meeks, and member Congressman Jim Clyburn, talking about the real deal on Venezuela. And I want to deal with what is going on with the Department of Justice. I have a New York Times investigative reporter is going to give us some of that. Sunday, we're going to have the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, Yvette Clark, talking about black unemployment, where we're going with this as we head into King Week, and the whole idea of what's going on with the voting rights decision we may get today on the Supreme Court, and Attorney Ben Crump will be on. All right, let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Pete in Washington, D.C. Pete, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hey, Rev, this is John from Washington. You hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
Okay. My main issue is I want to bring up something that might be controversial, but I know you're a straight talk kind of guy. I've followed your career and all that, and I'm gonna put it out there. I think this is an Emmett Till moment. What Emmett Till's mom did 60 years ago when she had an open casket. Terrible thing to see what they did to her son. But I'll tell you what, I know it'd be hard on the family, and you may not agree with me, but the feds are going to cover this up, and whatever his name is at the FBI, how can I forget the clown show at the FBI? And Kristi Noem, a little bit nervous, but anyway, I think this is an Emmett Till moment. They should have an open casket, and we could see where this country's going. Man,
I don't know that that's controversial. I mean, I certainly think it's up to the family, but I can understand your feelings. I think that it is outrageous, and I think sometimes things warrant the moment.
I think so too, and I'll tell you what, this country needs to see this, and you can listen to the lies coming from J.D. Vance or Kristi Noem and all this. The pictures tell the story. That cop had clearance. When you see daylight, 2 feet with his arm sticking in the window, okay? And he put himself on the very corner. If he'd been dragged down the road 6 months ago and had 40 stitches, the guy should either, if he's not mentally stable, or he put himself in that position, and I don't see any of these armchair Bill O'Reilly or anybody else. Well, you got to see more. You got to see more and hear more of the facts. I don't know what you need to see, but I'll tell you, if that was your wife in there, there's a lot of these big boys that would have something to say about that. And I got to tell you, he shot her because he could have. He didn't have to. She was so petrified. Whatever she was doing before, it doesn't matter. She wasn't trying to run anybody over. The wheels were turned the other way. And then that one picture where you see daylight with his arm 2 feet outside the car, and the only thing in the car in that Honda was his hands. When you see the smoke, the discharge of the gun. The other thing is that there's a good picture from the other side that after they took her body out of the car, you look at that airbag. In the center of that airbag, about pillow-sized, is the richest, rosiest pile of blood. And you know something? The people should have to see her face so they can. It's an easy decision. This guy didn't have to shoot her. Come on.
No,
he could have let her go. They got plenty of resources.
There's no
to pick her
doubt
up
about
later.
that. Thank you for your call. No doubt about that. Thank you for your call, John. Let me go to D in Northwest Atlanta. D, my friend in Northwest Atlanta, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton on Exhale Friday.
Thank you, Reverend Al. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Happy New Year, and I had a birthday. My birthday is New Year's Day, so all of y'all celebrated. Everybody celebrated my birthday, and I want to thank all of you for celebrating in your own way.
Yeah.
Reverend Al, as a child growing up in Atlanta, I'm old enough to remember the times that there were trials where white men killed people of color, and everybody knew they were guilty, but when they would go to trial, they would always get off. And I watched this happen for years and years and years where they would always get off. But Reverend Al, I never thought that they would get to the point where they would kill, because they were always concerned about white women and valuing white women. And we've gotten now today where they, will kill a young white mother and think nothing of it, and then tell us not to believe our own eyes. Now, to me, they said that we shouldn't compare Trump to Hitler, but that's a lot like what was going on in the 1920s and 1930s with Hitler. Trump likes to scapegoat migrants and demonize people of color. Hitler was doing that with the Jews. Hitler attacked educational institutions and other institutions. Trump is doing all of that. And Reverend Al is all in Project 2025, and Kamala Harris warned us about it. If you look at what they wanted to do in Project 2025, I was reading over it the other day. Trump did quite a bit in 2025, and we need to really be careful here in 2026 and make sure that we vote and we get Democrats in Congress, because Congress is not doing anything.
That's right. And if we get the Democratic majority back, we can control legislation that is being put out and passed if we have the majority. Who chairs the committees? If you get the chair of the Judiciary Committee, you could subpoena all these people that are leading in the Trump cabinet, including the Attorney General, under oath, and make them testify. That's why they're going to try everything they can. But we must fight back with all that we have. Thank you for your call.
And if there are any Democratic officials listening, please be aware of Elon. I will never forget that Trump said before the last election that Elon knows computers. We need to find some Democrats who recognize that there was a possibility that something happened that caused Trump to be able to be in power this time. Thank you, Rev.
Thank you for your call. And again, I'm going to deal with a lot of this on Politics Nation tomorrow and Saturday. And Sunday. Tomorrow is Saturday. And Sunday, because I'm going to have on Clyburn and Meeks when we talk about the Democrats. Also, you that are in the New York area, don't forget, meet me or beat me in the morning. I've got a message for you in the morning at the Saturday Action Rally at House of Justice in Harlem, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And we're also going to have a special announcement there, the HBCU tour. We're going to unveil the national president of Alpha will be there, and they're going to have a memorandum of understanding with us for the HBCU tour, Ascend, the HBCU tour, and we're doing all that in the morning, 9 to 11 at the House of Justice, 145th and Lenox. You that are not in the New York area can watch it live on Impact Television and, of course, at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. And I'm telling people, sign up now. Martin Luther King Day holiday is next Monday, the 19th. We start as we do every MLK Day, Martin Luther King III, Andrea Waters King, and I host the Martin Luther King breakfast there in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. This year to be at the Salamander, and we're honoring former Attorney General Eric Holder. We're honoring Sheila Johnson, who owns the Salamander. A black woman owns more hotels than anybody in the country. And she co-founded BET with her former husband, Bob Johnson. We'll be honoring the mayor of Baltimore for bringing down crime more than any other mayor in this country, Brandon Scott. And they'll all be there. And we're honoring Donna Brazile, the political strategist. So make sure. And then we come back, we fly right back to New York, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We have the governor and the mayor and the President, City Council, and Attorney General Tish James give their report to our open policy forum on what they've done in the spirit of Dr. King since last King Day. Go to 877-626-4651, 877-626-4651. Reserve your seats now. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
It's been a long, time coming, but I know
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer. Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president. But we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're gonna have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm gonna keep marching, I'm gonna keep agitating, and I'm gonna keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie known you a long time, Mariah, Chris and your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again. Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight. They did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising. But one black man, Rich Newton, said, I don't care. My families come together every 4th of July weekend, and Essence will happen, because that's who we are. Give a big hand to Rich Newton for bringing us back.
essence of who we are is essential to what made this nation. We built this nation. We made this nation. We created the essential dollars that this nation lives off of. We don't care what bill they pass. We will not back up. We will not back down. We will not give in. We will not be chased out. We don't care who's in the White House. We will organize our house by house. We came over the Middle Passage. We survived slavery. We survived Jim Crow. Don't you give up now. Don't you turn back now. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. Reclaim your dignity. Reclaim your place. So we stand with the Global Black Economic Forum. We stand with Essence Magazine because that's who we are. So don't give in now. Yes, it's some rough days, but we've been through rougher days than this. Yes, Trump is a bad dude, but we beat badder dudes than Trump. So let's party with a purpose, because our rhythm and our music reminds us who we are, because we can smile through our pain and organize for our gain. Let's stand up and let's celebrate who we are. Thank you, God bless you. Keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
that I want to end. He talked about the dry bones in the valley.
I'll tell you that.
The only reason that the wind could blow life into the bones is because at some point they had to be connected. If the wind had blown into a disconnected body, it still wouldn't have worked. So before he prophesied to the wind, they had to first get the foot bone to connect to the ankle bone, and the ankle bone to the calf bone, and to the knee bone, and the knee bone to the thigh bone. If we are to prophesy to the wind, we must first connect this body. We must connect Eddie Long to Farrakhan and Cornel West to Elders and Lowry to Sharpton.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. And again, Politics Nation tomorrow and Sunday. I'm booking even more. I've got some senators, but I've already announced some. And of course, in the morning, the Saturday Action Rally, the national president of the fraternity, the Alpha fraternity, is going to be there as he announces they are partnering with National Action Network, the Alphas, and many of the Alphas will be there. So get there early if you're in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. They're going to be there to announce the Ascend HBCU tour, and that's National Action Network and Alpha. We're going through all the HBCU campuses we can. I'm going to make as many as I can, talking to them, giving them workshops, leadership training, and to Ascend. And we plan to have about 300 of them that we bring into National Action Network's convention, April 8th through the 11th in New York. In fact, you all now, sign now. I'm going to lay out after King Day a lot of the confirmed speakers and workshop leaders. So sign now that you come to the convention 1 day, 2 days, 4 days, April 8th through the 11th. I'm signing up people early because I want to get all the space at the site. It'll be in New York at the Sharpton. At the Marriott, and you need to sign up now. You can call at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. All right, we're joined as we are every Friday for Exhale Friday, end of the week, by the senior pastor of the historic King Solomon Baptist Church in Detroit. And, of course, he's the head of national expansion and Michigan State Chair of National Action Network, Reverend Charles Williams II. How you doing, Reverend?
All is well, and it's always good to be with you on yet another Exhale Friday, Rev. Look, man, Happy New Year to you and to the audience. From Minneapolis to Maracaibo, man, we're talking, whether we're talking about ice or whether we're talking about oil, the only real hope we have is our vote. And we've got to exercise that vote as we prepare to go forward into 2026. You know, Dr. King not only fought for public accommodations, not only fought for civil rights, but also fought when they crossed that Edmund-Pettus Bridge to make sure that we had access to the ballot. And now we ain't got no dogs. And you always like to remind us, and I've stolen that line a couple of times. Here we are 20, 40, 50 years later. We got cell phones and we got everything else we need. And we seem to have a hard time organizing ourselves in terms of just getting a block club together. It's time. The time is now for us to pull all of our resources together. And that's why I'm always appreciative of my time with National Action Network. You just talked about Martin Luther King Day. We've got Martin Luther King events happening all over the country that will move us from just talking about it, but into action. And then, of course, looking at the forward as we prepare to go into our national convention in April, during the time that Dr. King got shot. We need mass mobilization of individuals from across the country to come in the scene so that when they get the information, they can leave out and get into the action. This is what we need right now. Action, fast action, quick action. So join us and become a part of the action. Action is our middle name, National Action Network. You can go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. For those of you all who may not necessarily use the internet, call 877-626-4651 and let them know Reverend Charles Williams said I can get involved and I need to get involved in my city. And they'll let you know that there is a chapter in your city and they'll get you involved. And if it ain't one, we'll get one and get you involved. So let's get up, let's get into it, and let's get involved.
All right, let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Andre in Atlanta, Georgia, WAOK. Andre.
Good afternoon, Reverend, and to Reverend Williams.
Good afternoon.
Regarding the ICE killing of Miss Good in Minneapolis, before I comment on the actual shooting, I'd like to pose a couple of questions, and I guess I'd like to pose these questions to the entire country in general, and maybe to our members of Congress specifically. How is it that we as a nation allow ICE agents to do the type of work that they do without those agents wearing body cameras? And the second question I'd like to pose is, under what authority did that first ICE agent have to aggressively approach the vehicle of an American citizen who they were not pursuing as an illegal immigrant and tried to force open her door, presumably to violently remove her from her vehicle? I pose these two questions, Rev, because from what I saw in the video, if I'm prosecuting this as a murder case in court, I'm prosecuting this murder case against two of those ICE agents, not just the one who pulled the trigger. The prosecution of the thug who pulled the trigger is obvious. But if I'm prosecuting this as a murder case in court, one of my pleas to the jury would be, but for the actions of that first ICE agent, this entire sequence of events would not have occurred. But for the actions of that first ICE agent, Miss Good would not have been placed in fear of her life. But for the actions of that first ICE agent, everything that followed would not have occurred. So I ask again, under what authority did that first ICE agent have to attempt to violently pull an American citizen from her vehicle? If you'll notice in the video, when those two ICE agents first get out of their pickup truck, Miss Good didn't try to leave the scene. She sat there with her driver's window still down, showing no fear whatsoever for her physical well-being. And then even as those two agents began walking towards her vehicle, she still didn't try to leave the scene. She sat there with her driver's window still down, showing no fear for her physical well-being, her vehicle not moving an inch. It wasn't until a split millisecond before that first ICE thug reached for her car door that we see her brake lights and her backup lights come on, because I suspect that a split millisecond before he tried to force open her door, he yelled or said something to her that put her in fear of her life. And that is when everything quickly went downhill. And that is what a body cam with audio could clarify for us. She had plenty of time to leave the area the second that she saw those agents exit their vehicle, but she didn't. It was only at the point that that first ICE agent got right up to her door that she suddenly feared for her safety, and a body cam with audio could have given us insight as to why she suddenly became fearful. As for the shooting itself, the reporting is that the second agent in uniform, the shooter, fired 3 shots. The first shot through her windshield, then 2 shots through the open window of the driver's door. Someone in MAGA world is going to have to prove to me that my eyes are lying. Before the first shot was even fired, the video to me showed that that agent had moved to his right and that the front bumper of her vehicle at that point had already moved past where he was standing. And with her having turned the front wheels all the way to the right, the vehicle was moving away from that murderer. And not only that, I think that what I just said is supported by the ballistic evidence. The first shot went through the windshield, but the bullet hole of that first shot was not at the front of the windshield, where you would expect it to be if she were, quote unquote, aiming her vehicle at him. Instead, the bullet hole is almost at the left edge of the windshield, where the windshield kind of curved backwards towards the front door, the driver's door, suggesting again that the front of her vehicle was already past the murderer before that first shot was fired. Ms. Good was clearly trying to drive away to protect herself from physical harm from a band of thugs in uniforms. As for this investigation, as long as this nation has the tentacles of MAGA slime running throughout every single branch of our federal government, with a lying Secretary of Homeland Security, with a lying Attorney General, with a lying so-called president, I don't trust any branch of this MAGA federal government to be involved in the investigation of the killing of by a federal agent. So my position on the investigation part of this incident is that if we can't have Minnesota officials involved in this investigation, in the interest of public trust, let's suspend all federal involvement in this case. And
well, I'm going to discuss that, Andre, on the show tomorrow night with Attorney General of Minnesota, Ellison, and Greg Meeks and Jim Clyburn in Congress. I don't know if they can suspend the feds, but we can sure talk about what needs to be done. Let me thank you for your call. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Williams. Be right back. Keeping it real.
Reverend Sharpton, how do we begin to make peace with our past?
I don't think it's our obligation to make peace with our past. I think it's our obligation to learn from our past and to understand that soon we gonna be the past. I mean, a lot of us act like we gonna be permanent and that the past is the past. If we draw on the strengths of the past and uphold the dignity and the integrity of our people, and then perform it at our highest level in our generation, as Dr. Moss said, that's our obligation. You know, one of the reasons that I've been so concerned about this cultural tone that we're in now is a lot of us have lost the dignity that our community has shown from Jamestown to now. I've questioned some of the artists that no longer sing to uplift us. And there's never been a generation that didn't use our music and our culture to lift us up. And the excuse is where they say, well, we just want to show what's there. But we never just accepted what was there. We always looked at what was there and looked through it and brought our people the way it needed to be. So in slavery time, we were singing Go Down Moses and Swing Low Sweet Chariot. We wasn't singing about the cotton picking nigga in the field. That's what we saw, but that's not what we sang. In slavery, in segregation time, we were singing We Shall Overcome. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. We wasn't singing the hoe in the back of the bus. So where is this coming from? And that's what we need to challenge. I wish, all of this about our friend Barack announcing today, I wish Obama had announced here, because Lincoln did not free us. The abolitionist movement freed us. Lincoln accommodated to freedom fighters. He was not a freedom fighter. Kennedy accommodated the king. Johnson accommodated the king. We got to quit giving the wrong people credit for our history.
Hi, it's Reverend Al Sharpton, President and founder of National Action Network. We are at the very end of 2025, and I want to first say that I want to thank all of the officers, chapter leaders, regional directors, national staff, and certainly National Board of National Action Network for a solid and absolutely incredible year in 2025. Despite the fact that we are under assault, voting rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion, the battles globally where we're seeing Nigeria and Venezuela attacked, and on and on and on. We have been steadfast as an activist organization in the tradition of Dr. King. We started the year with a national call that thousands responded to, and we were in Washington on our side of town while Trump was being inaugurated on the other side of town. And we made a pledge. We told people to lift their hand and make the pledge. And we kept that pledge to work all year to keep the dream alive. And that led into when Trump went after DEI. We supported some that were boycotting, and we started boycotting, something that had never happened. We said we're going to go buy from those that have committed to keep DEI, and went in several cities around Costco's and Sharpton. We've now bought stock in other companies. We're going to shareholder meeting and demand they continue DEI. We've had a sensational National Action Network convention covering the span of activity, from political empowerment to education, to how we deal with the black church, how we deal with black women development that has to deal with both discrimination based on gender and race. And of course, we came to Wall Street by the thousands and marched in late summer on the anniversary of the March on Washington. And people thought you could not get people out, and they came from all over the country. And we marched on Wall Street and had an enormous turnout. The only mass black march, black-led march this year. We had a lot of protests, a lot of marches. I salute all No Kings marches and all. But the black organization march, it welcomed everybody. We had white, black, everybody there. Was our march on Wall Street in August. And then our Triumph Award and on into our fall agenda of organizing, mobilizing. We've expanded. We've started chapters in about 12 new cities. So I am proud of what we've done this year, but it's only the beginning, because our very rights are under attack, and they're not even being quiet about it. They want to revoke the Voting Rights Act. Section 2 may fall with this bill. They want to end the Civil Rights Act of 64. That's what the end of DEI is about. So let us be more alert and active than ever. History will decide whether the civil rights gains of the 50s and 60s died in the 2020s. That's on your watch and mine. So if we've got to march, we have to protest, we have to lobby, we have to rally, whatever we need to do, we need to put our shoulder to the wheel more than ever. I'm going to lay out a plan on King Day, both in Harlem at our annual event and in Washington at our annual Martin Luther King Day breakfast that we do in D.C., we do 2 cities that day. And then, of course, all roads lead to New York to pay for our convention. We had, as I said, the largest attended convention last year in 2025. It needs to be more this year because our very existence is at stake. We also are closing our negotiations on a new headquarters, our national headquarters that befit our mission. I'm so excited about it, but I can't give you details. We're just about ready to sign the contract, but it will be something that will last longer than many of our lifetimes. So We came alive in 25, despite a hostile administration, despite the fact that a lot of people were intimidated and spooked into silence. We came alive in 25. Now we have to straighten out tricks in 26. I need you. We need each other. Let's do this. All these tricks, don't forget, Trump only won by 1.5%. He is trying to act like he has a mandate. No, he has a mission, Project 2025. We have the mandate that we can't let them undo what has been done. And we must even go further for the empowerment of all people. Happy New Year. And be focused.
You're live, sir.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Reverend Charles Williams is our co-host. Let's go right back to the phones, Reverend. Let's go to Denise in Michigan. Denise.
How you doing, Rev?
I'm doing fine.
Yeah, I had talked to you a couple of days ago. My phone got disconnected from you in regards to some complexes in Milwaukee where they were invading women's apartment and taking them, and I heard him upstairs over me screaming, and the guy was stumping.
Oh yeah, I think I remember that call, and I think that I told you, hold on, we need to put you with our crisis department so we can get the details on this, cause
because it's really
all right, hold on a minute, y'all pick up and get the information, cause I remember you said it was people banging and doing different things in the building. I need somebody to really dig down on this to find out exactly what you're talking about. Let me go to the Sage of the South, Brother Jihad in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Jihad, you're keeping it real with Sharpton and Williams.
Good afternoon, my brother.
Good afternoon.
Reverend Sharpton, I want to follow up on the conversation you had with Deborah from Atlanta yesterday, which I thought was fascinating. And Deborah was referencing the concept of martial law and Trump exercising or sending us into martial law. And Deborah's statement was, let's go for it. You know what I mean? Let's do it for the most part. And I understood clearly what I think she was saying, based on the reality of what Donald Trump said. This morning, Donald Trump said the only limit to his power is his morality. Did you hear that statement?
Yes, he did. He said it to the New York Times,
That's right.
2-hour interview.
That's right. That's correct. The only limit to his power is morality. That's the type of man we're living with, which means that I don't have to obey any law but what I think and what my judgment of morality says. International, local, state, anything. So based upon what Deborah was saying yesterday and based upon his actions, he's already established martial law for the most part, because he's saying that there's nothing, no law can contain him. As far as needing violence to introduce martial law, he doesn't need that. He just makes up stuff. Crime is in your city, I'm sending in the troops. That's martial law, right? That's him using his, whatever he feels, to implement his concept of power, right?
So martial law is not required for this particular guy. Violence is not required for this guy to introduce martial law. Drugs is being sold, so I kill people. Drugs is being sold, so I declare war or declare something, and then I invade a country. You don't need violence from the other end for him to introduce restrictions on this end, is what I'm thinking Deborah was saying quite clearly to me. So what Deborah was also saying was that governors, do what you got to do. Exercise your power. Mayors, exercise your power. Citizens, exercise your power. And if the consequences is this fool doing what he's doing, so be it. You know what I mean? But there's no restriction on this man. There's no, and he says it himself. You know what I mean? So the thing is that the governors, mayors, citizens, we have to do what we're supposed to do to exercise our power without the fear. And I don't think, by no means was she implying some type of violence, because what we see that now, that when the Congress exercises its power like it did last night, and when mayors and like the mayor in Chicago exercise his power, and the mayor of New York exercise their power, you get results.
That's right.
So when the citizens exercise our power without fear of consequences, then we get results. And I think that's what she was trying to say. And I just wanted to substantiate that thought from yesterday on the idea of martial law, because I currently believe that this guy is exercising martial law across the whole world. And the scary part about it is the minions that's with him. They tell you, every time somebody asks them a question, they never say the Constitution. They always say what the president wants and what the president said, and that's what we're going to do.
I'm glad you called and broke that down. Thank you for your call, because that is a form of martial law right there. They're not referring to the Constitution. They're referring to the wishes of the president. And Jihad is right about that. That's all they quote. Let me see if I can get Fred in from Milwaukee. Fred? Is Fred there?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
How are you doing? Hey, I probably can't make that shit, but anyway, I just want a couple of things like what Andre said, and I want to say what they just said. Yeah, those are things that are true. I mean, when it comes to the president, he doesn't care about law, and until Congress and the Senate exercise their authority, nothing's going to happen. As far as his own personal military, he has that, because, I mean, I didn't see anybody, but when you look at the footage of the ICE agents, the Border Patrol, how many people of color do you see? Black, Hispanic, or whatever, do you see them? And my concern is when they had that big push for hiring, where they're going to give a $50,000 bonus, what training did they have? When I went through the academy, I was in the academy for almost 6 months, from February to July, to become a law enforcement officer in the state of Wisconsin. And, so there's training. When it comes to shooting, I'm not sure what every state does, but, so people understand that qualification is, a 70 or better to pass for your shooting. They're not trained as marksmen, like we were talking the other day, as far as, shooting into a vehicle. When you shoot, as you see, after he shot, she ran into a couple other vehicles.
Right.
Let's say there was somebody walking there. Somebody else going to, because that's like setting off a missile with a car, and she wasn't even going that fast. She wasn't going fast at all. So, and I just look at that whole thing, because you're going to have a problem in the sense of when it comes to the investigation, all right? You have FBI agents. They may be good FBI agents, but if they have supervisors and then you have the head of the FBI that's loyal to Trump, everything's going to be squashed. I mean, I'm skeptical, even with the Attorney General that's releasing the Epstein file. Okay, how do we know these are actual files that were there? Left here some court records, what has been changed, what pages have been left out, things of that nature, redacted. So, that's the thing like that. And I'll get back to shooting, but before I get my point, I know you had mentioned the voting. I think when it comes to the voting, there used to be a song, I can't remember the gospel singer, but she said, Lord, don't move my mountain, but give me the strength to climb. And when it comes to the voting laws, I mean, okay, when they put an obstacle in front of us, you need ID? Let's help people get the IDs. The Democratic Party should be helping everybody get their ID and get rid of the obstacle. So, okay, now what else you going to do? What you going to change now in the law? Okay? What you got to own property, so all the different challenges, yeah, you can combat it in the courts, but also you got to do the other things because I'm willing. If somebody needs ID, I can afford to help, if it's $10, $20, $30, help a few people get their IDs, whatever they need that's official for the state. So these are things that we have to do. We have to fight that battle alongside. Myself and the black officers whose shoulders I stood on, who made it opportunity for me to come in law enforcement, I don't forget that, and, we have a society that's changed in the sense as our values, where people think they have made it because they got a position or something like that. But no, I mean, right away, something will come up and they'll show you, you're black again.
Yeah, and they don't mind reminding you. Thank you for your call. Let's take a break. I'll be right back. More Keeping It Real. Exhale Friday, Sharpton and Williams right after the break.
Every step I take, you will be there. Every step I make, we'll be together. Every step I take, you will be there. Every step I make, we'll be together. Every step I take.
Whew. Thank you so much. I was thinking I was going to prepare a speech, but I can't read those things anymore. Name's Babyface, not Baby Body. But I wanted to, you made me sound so good with those words. I was like, that was me? I was like, when I look at my life and I think of the music and everything that I've done, I used to say that I don't know where it came from. I don't know where the words come from. I don't know where the music comes from. I don't know how I got here where I am, but that's not true. God got me here. This is and it becomes more clear to me every day that's why I'm here. And I don't even know how I ended up standing here, except for the fact that I ran into Al at the Essence. He was walking in the room, and I said, I got to go say hello. And he said, I want to honor you. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah, I want to honor you. I said, really? Yep. And here I am standing here, and I can only thank you. I always want to do this, Michael. I love you too. Sorry. But I think of moments like this, I can't help but just think of how proud my mom would be for me to standing here. I have to say that just to be standing here and to be invited by Al Sharpton, and I want you guys to really think about this man who invited me here and how he has been fighting the fight for us all of these years. I don't think we give him enough credit. I don't think we give him enough love. Sometimes you just get used to people and you think, well, that's just Al. No. He's more than that. I want y'all to give him really love. Come on, let's give him. It's very true. Because I can remember times, I'm 67 years old, I can remember times in Indianapolis, Indiana. Yeah, it's true, I'm 67. And I can remember times in Indianapolis when I was growing up, and there were places before I was 5 years old that I could not go to because I was black. And I remember how civil rights, how that changed everything for me and for my life, and that I'm standing here today because of all of those changes. And I was able to do the kind of music that I do and do everything because of those things happened. And so for me to accept an award like this, because I've never gotten an award like this before. And so I really appreciate it, and I'm just so thankful, and I thank my mom for giving me the sense to always be humble with my life, and to never think that it's all about me, and so like I said, I didn't prepare a speech. I always just wanted to speak from my heart, and I'm speaking from my heart, and I want to tell you once again, Al Sharpton, you are a blessing to us all, and I thank you for inviting me for this, and thank you so much. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
In London, yeah. We've got many problems here. We need you over our side. Yeah, you're invited anytime, please. Whenever you want to come.
There we go.
Guys, what's up, Doc?
So we are in not a political dilemma, we are in a moral dilemma. And if the black church does not come with a prophetic voice, then who's going to do it? We can go through all the data, all the statistics, all we're going through in the workshops, but the question is, where is the action going to be? We all believe in Jesus. Jesus didn't teach theology, he healed people. And they learned the nature of the theology based on his healing. We've got to heal this nation. And if we heal this nation, the nation will return to our churches. But we've become silent and compromised. And we try to blame it on, I'm not in this. You are in this. You live it, your members live it. Unemployment now is higher now than it's been since the pandemic. Yet we survive. There's no history in the world of any people that went through the kind of psychological, cultural, and physical slavery like blacks did in America. The only reason we're still here is because of our faith. We had no external strength. We had an internal strength. And it was the God that we were taught by our mamas and grandmamas that brought us through. And I don't care who's sitting in the White House, we cannot betray the God that brought us through.
You're loud, sir.
Keeping it real.
You're loud, sir.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real.
I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, Reverend Charles Williams
II is our co-host. Don't forget, tomorrow, Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now, formerly known as MSNBC. And in fact, I'm on my way to MS Now. I'm going to do 4 o'clock today update, but I'll be on the whole show 5 p.m. tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. Over the weekend, I have on the Attorney General of Minnesota, Keith Ellison, to tell us what is going on in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, and around the ICE killing of Miss Good and the federal government interference with the state. He is the one that prosecuted George Floyd and helped set up the apparatus to investigate law enforcement killings. We're going to have Keith Ellison on. We'll have Congressman Jim Clyburn and Congressman Greg Meeks on, who reign in the Foreign Affairs Committee in Congress, about Venezuela. I'm going to have on the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus over the weekend, Yvette Clark, talking about the economic conditions of blacks have worsened and what the caucus is going to do about it, and the Affordable Care Act, now that has passed the Senate for a 3-year, the Congress, the House for a 3-year extension, is on its way to the Senate, and we'll have Chairwoman Clark on. You don't want to miss either day, Saturday or Sunday. I'll be live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time both days. You that are in the New York, Connecticut, and New Jersey vicinity, meet me at the Saturday Action Rally in the morning. I'll be giving my message on what to do in light of this killing and where we need to go in terms of our dealing with these ICE raids that is continuing to abuse people around the country, as well as how we deal with the Affordable Care Act. And we're kicking off our HBCU tour. The national president of the Alpha fraternity will be there. They will be signing a memorandum of agreement with me right there. And we're going to do several HBCUs all over the country, and culminated with 300 students. We're bringing to National Action Network's National Convention, April 8th through the 11th. Monday week, a week from this Monday, the 19th of January, is the Martin Luther King federal holiday, and they're fighting all they can to make it the last holiday. So we want you to jam-pack everywhere to show the numbers are there. They cannot mess with it. You, by not being present and not bringing family and friends, would be certifying and sanctifying they're saying we don't need the holiday anymore. They already took Martin Luther King holiday and Juneteenth, where you now have to pay on those days to go in the parks. So make sure you spend King Day with the King folks. We start National Action Network is starting at the Washington, D.C. breakfast we've had over almost 2 decades now. Martin Luther King holiday, Martin Luther King III co-chairs that with me and his wife, Andrea Waters King. And we're honoring that morning former Attorney General of the United States, Eric Holder. We're honoring as well Sheila Johnson, the largest black woman hotel owner in the country. We're doing it at one of our hotels, the Salamander. We're honoring the mayor of Baltimore, Maryland, who brought down crime to its lowest of any man in the city, in the country, Brandon Scott. We're honoring Donna Brazil, the political strategist. That will be at 8 in the morning on the holiday. Then we fly to New York. And 1 o'clock, we are going to have what we've had for all 35 years in there, and that is our MLK Policy Day Forum. We have the governor, the mayor, state attorney general, Chris James, and Hakeem Jeffries and others to state what it is they are doing in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King. There's not a day off. It's a day on. We want elected officials to give their report as they have every year. So we'll be there at the House of Justice, 1 o'clock. If you want to reserve a seat now, because we always overflowed at both, call the toll-free number 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651, or you can go online to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and sign up. And also sign up while you're there for the National Action Network's National Convention. It will be April. We always do it the month Dr. King was killed. April 8th through the 11th, New York, Sheraton. Free. None of our sessions cost, but you have to sign up. Sign up now, because when we cut it off, you're at the top of the list. We have top names, top elected officials, top academicians, top clergy, top activists for those 4 days. If you can't do it 1 day or 2 days, sign up and let us know what you can do. You can go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can call in the toll-free number at 1-877-626-4651. Sign up now. I see our Marcia McCoy is on the line. Before I go to her and Reverend Bishop Cavendish, let me know what's going on in Detroit in the morning, Reverend Williams.
Well, you want to join us tomorrow, 10 a.m. at the historic King Solomon Baptist Church, 6100 14th Street. The National Action Network Michigan chapter is going to be having our Saturday Action Rally. Rev, today we inaugurated Mary Sheffield to be the new mayor of the city of Detroit, and along with Mary Sheffield, also Mary Waters, who is also the citywide elected city councilwoman.
Yeah.
Both of them.
I know Mary Waters.
Now, you know Mary Waters and all of those. Both of them members of National Action Network. We're certainly looking forward to hearing from Mary Waters tomorrow. We had the opportunity to hear from Mary Sheffield. And on King Day, I want you to make sure you come tomorrow, because you can get the King Day tickets and registrations, which is kicking off tomorrow. But we're going to be honoring Deputy Mayor, also member of National Action Network and longtime activist and friend. In fact, he was in my wedding. Deputy Mayor Brian White, who will be with us. So you don't want to miss tomorrow. You want to make sure you get your tickets. You want to make sure you get registered, get ready for our King Day, and get ready for our voter education and registration efforts for the rest of the year, because that's what it's going to take to make sure we can make a change.
All right, let's go straight to the phone. We only got a couple of minutes left to the indescribable, invincible president of the Greater Cleveland Chapter National Action Network, Marcia McCoy.
I yield my time. Thank you, President. Come on, Bishop.
Dr. Al Sharpton.
Yes, sir.
Dr. John Williams.
Yes, sir.
Hold my mule, my brother.
I got you, Reverend.
It is a critical, crucial question that we have not thought about in the last half century, and that is our democracy in danger? Is the world in peril? Absolutely and positively. What the Supreme Court of the land has given us is a man who declares that limits to his egregious and felonious power is only determined by his own immoral self. This is a man who had no conscience of what is right and what is wrong, and is a dangerous threat to not only democracy, but to the stability of the world. His menacing, treacherous, bigoted hands on the nuclear button put civilization in jeopardy. When the highest court of the law grants criminal immunity to a power-hungry convicted felon who has no guardrails for morality, decency, dignity, decorum, right or wrong, democracy is in censorious peril. Needless to say that this democracy is in danger and peril when it has as a leader a wannabe king and dictator who has no regards for truth, veracity, accuracy, or facts. Democracy is in danger when a president can tell 30,000 lies and still not be checked with his silent Republican co-conspirators. Our democracy is in danger when you lie that you're not going to invade or wage war on a country one day and wage war the next day. Democracy is in danger when a selfish, narcissistic, obvious
Nazi-loving white supremacist, dismantles diversity, equity, and inclusion, spews hate for black people, and vows to make America white again by paying white South Americans to come to America while shipping people of color out as expeditiously as possible. When you have a man who is a best friend of a 10-year sex trafficker who raped and trafficked young girls as young as 11 years of age, do we need to say more? I'll get you next week, Doctor.
All right. Thank you, Bishop. And thank you, Dr. McCoy. Let me thank Reverend Charles Williams. Let me thank all of you that called in, listening, you that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Whatever you do, keep it real.